Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Newsbrowse News broadcast. A new study from the University of British Columbia reveals that summers are not only getting hotter, but also significantly longer, with this trend accelerating faster than previously understood. According to CTV News, the research analyzed temperature data from 1990 to 2023, defining summer by its typical peak warmth rather than fixed calendar dates. The findings indicate that summers between the tropics and polar regions are extending by an average of 6 days per decade, a notable increase from earlier estimates of 4 days per decade. Specific examples include Sydney, Australia, with a 15-day increase per decade, and Toronto, Canada, experiencing an 8-day extension per decade. The study also highlights more abrupt seasonal transitions, where spring and autumn shoulder seasons are shortening and summer-like temperatures arrive suddenly. Researchers emphasize that these changing climate patterns contribute to various issues, such as more frequent wildfires, higher energy demands for cooling, altered agricultural planting schedules, and an increased risk of spring flooding due to faster snowmelt. The New Brunswick Police Association is disputing claims made by St. John Police Chief Robert Bruce that harassment complaints filed against him last year were merely union tactics. According to Global News, Chief Bruce had described the complaints as disappointing and predictable, suggesting they were strategically timed to coincide with challenging labor negotiations and aimed at discrediting police management. However, the association's labor analyst, Bob Davidson, highlighted that 2 of the 9 workplace harassment complaints originated from non-unionized employees. Davidson asserted that the central issue is the summary dismissal of most allegations regarding Chief Bruce and the toxic workplace environment he allegedly created, without proper investigation into their merits. Furthermore, even substantiated allegations were reportedly resolved informally with no subsequent action. The association has previously urged the provincial public safety minister to intervene and is now reiterating its request for the minister to take decisive action to investigate the chief's demoralizing, disgraceful, destructive statements and actions. The Canadian press reports that Peru's upcoming presidential and congressional elections on Sunday have brought to light a significant oversight: the lack of comprehensive plans to address illegal mining. This activity is a major cause of deforestation in the Amazon and widespread mercury pollution, yet it has received minimal attention during the campaign. Experts emphasize that illegal mining has grown into Peru's largest illicit economy, now competing with the formal mining sector and even surpassing drug trafficking in generated revenue, exceeding $11.5 billion in 2025. This expansion is pushing deeper into sensitive Amazonian ecosystems and indigenous lands, threatening environmental stability, public health through mercury contamination of the food chain, and the well-being of indigenous communities. Critiques highlight that most political parties' platforms either offer fragmented solutions or completely ignore the issue, demonstrating a broader failure to confront this escalating crisis. Al Jazeera reports that the United States and Iran have commenced direct in-person talks in Islamabad, Pakistan, aiming to conclude their 6-week-old conflict. These discussions follow separate bilateral meetings with Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, who expressed hope for durable peace. The U.S. delegation includes Vice President J.D. Vance and Jared Kushner, while Iran's team is led by Parliamentary Speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf and Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi. Initially planned as proximate talks, they have evolved into direct negotiations with Pakistani mediators present. Key points of contention include Iran's demands for Lebanon's inclusion in the ceasefire and the unblocking of Iranian assets. While U.S. and Israeli officials maintain that the Lebanon campaign is separate, sources suggest some progress on limiting strikes in southern Lebanon and potentially unfreezing assets, though confirmation is pending. Both sides have voiced cautious remarks, with Iranian Speaker Ghalibaf noting past U.S. broken promises and U.S. Vice President Vance warning against playing the negotiating team. The talks follow a 2-week U.S.-announced ceasefire that halted airstrikes on Iran but hasn't ended Iran's Strait of Hormuz blockade or the Israel-Hezbollah conflict in Lebanon. According to Thai Sounds, on April 11th, the President Trump announced on social media that the U.S. military had commenced clearing the Strait of Hormuz. This declaration was swiftly followed by a report from Iranian state television, which issued a stern warning that any U.S. warships entering the strategic waterway would face an attack within 30 minutes. An Iranian military official later told state television that American vessels had turned around following their warning. However, the U.S. news website Axios, while relaying the Iranian Tasnim news agency's report of the ship's return, also cited an American official who denied that any such warning had been received by the U.S. In his social media post, Trump strongly criticized fake news, suggesting an Iranian victory, asserting that Iran's military assets, including its navy, air force, air defense systems, missiles, and drones, had been largely destroyed, and its leader was no longer with us. He added that all 28 of Iran's maritime vessels had been sunk. Trump stated the clearing operation was intended to assist nations worldwide, including China, Japan, South Korea, France, and Germany, who he claimed lacked the courage or will to act, and pointed out that numerous empty oil tankers were en route to the U.S. to load oil. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.